Hi, it's Eleanor, and I humbly submit that there is not a single marketing tool, sales tactic, lead generation gimmick, or fail-proof formula more effective than the asset I share in this episode. You ready? Let's do it. So here's the question. In a world where the rules of business have been written by men, how do women entrepreneurs like us, women who want to make millions of dollars and impact millions of lives, how do we create enormous success on our terms? That's the question, and this show explores the answers. Welcome to Power Presence Position. I'm your host, Eleanor Beaton, and I'm on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who generate over $1 million per year in annual revenue. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. I'm a wife, mom of 2 boys, and I'm the CEO of a 7-figure business. Stick around because on this show, you'll learn how to think, communicate, and get paid like a 7-figure CEO. Let's go. Earlier in my career as an entrepreneur, a client came up to me and said that she didn't think she was my ideal client. And when she told me this, it actually really caught me by surprise. So she was a brilliant practitioner who had a great reputation. She was ambitious. She really wanted to make more money for her family. She already had a stable business. On paper, she looked every inch like my ideal client. But in truth, when I really thought about it, after she told me that, I realized that she in fact lacked an important behavioral component of my very best clients, the willingness to fail. She was not willing to fail or look stupid. And look, that's totally fair. We all get to decide who we want to be in our businesses. But she wasn't willing to fail or look stupid. And the challenge is that my teachings are all about creating wealth and impact by taking a bold approach in your marketing and having the guts to create and stand in a category of one. It's not for the faint of heart. So she had the technical requirements to do this work, but she didn't have the stomach for it. She didn't want that. She didn't want to risk failing. She didn't want to risk looking stupid. And to be honest, if you don't want to make those risks, it's going to be hard for you to truly stand out in a category of one. So the reality is she was right. She was not my ideal client, and she would have done much better with a coach who was more vanilla and cautious in their approach. Now, I look back on that experience a lot, and I think there's so many powerful learnings, certainly for me and hopefully for you as well. You see, at the time, my business was doing well. So I had good marketing systems in place. I had good lead generation practices. I was stable in my revenue growth, but I lacked something critical. And the lack of that specific thing blinded me to who my ideal clients really were. It blinded me to the behavioral aspects, that thing that I was talking about the willingness to fail and potentially look stupid. It blinded me to who my ideal clients actually were, and therefore it reduced my ability to seek them out, hunt them down, and work with them and only them. So what was that crucial thing? If you've listened to Power Presence Position before, then maybe you've heard me tell a defining story in my growing up years. So we immigrated to Canada when I was really little, and my mom, who had previously been a main breadwinner in our family, she was a teacher, she decided to stay at home and raise the kids. It was a completely different culture that we were growing up in, and she really wanted to raise us while my dad was out working. And this created a lot of benefits in our home life, but it also created some challenges for her, specifically that she didn't make her own money. And so even though my mom and dad had a great relationship, when they had disagreements about money, he would always quote unquote win because he was the breadwinner. And that's just kind of how it went down in our family in those years. And I can remember as a younger teenager, my mom and dad had had a disagreement about money, and my mom was really frustrated about it. And she was taking me to basketball practice, and she was gripping the steering wheel of our Dodge minivan, and her knuckles were white, and she's black. So that took a lot of gripping, let me tell you. And so her knuckles are like white. She's gripping the steering wheel, and she's like, Eleanor, money is power. Always make your own. And that statement has been the gift that keeps on giving. That has been the gift that has given to me year after year. There's so many dimensions to that statement. Money is power. But the real reason I think that money gives us power is because it gives us options. When you have money, you have choices. And when you have choices, you're able to think clearly and live with intention if you exercise that power of choice, right? So if you know you have a lot of options and you want to be intentional about it, you can sit back and really think, what's important to me here and how am I going to live and lead with intention? Therefore, because money gives you choice and the ability to live with intention, the most powerful and underappreciated marketing tool is in fact a cash reserve. Now, in my incubator, which is a high-end coaching program for women entrepreneurs, one of the core milestones that we are working with our clients to achieve is a 3 to even as much as 5-month cash reserve. Because truly, I believe that you should have 3 to 6 months of operating expenses in your business as cash. Now, research published in the Harvard Business Review in 2020 found that the median business with monthly expenses over $10,000 a month didn't have enough money on hand to cover 2 weeks of expenses. Yes, this is true. The median business in that survey found that they did not have enough money to cover 2 weeks of expenses. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. And it's also normal. So if that's you, don't be ashamed about it, right? You are in good company. But if you don't have enough money to cover 2 weeks of expenses, much less 3 to 6 months of expenses, that is putting you in a really vulnerable position. 2 weeks the median business couldn't survive for without an infusion of cash. So if you have less than 2 weeks of business expenses on hand, and I'm honestly going to say if you have less than 3 months of business expenses on hand, what does that officially make you? And on this show, I give it to you straight. So it might sting a little bit, but I'm going to give it to you straight. If you have less than 2 weeks of business expenses on hand, or less than 3 months, I would say in my world, less than 3 months of business expenses on hand, what does that officially make you? Needy. It makes you needy. It means that you need your next sale. And we've all been in that spot. However, understand, what is the least attractive quality known to humankind? Neediness. Therefore, a cash reserve isn't simply a great cash management practice. It's a powerful marketing and branding tool. So last week, I was debriefing with a client who's a member of my high-end coaching program, the Incubator. And we were debriefing because she had reached a very cool milestone. So many of our clients are like overachievers. It's like the club for overachievers. So she didn't just have a 3-month cash reserve. She'd actually built it up to more like 5 months, meaning she had a 5-month cash reserve in her business savings account, meaning she could literally do absolutely nothing in her business for 5 months. And every single bill, including her personal salary, would be taken care of. Okay? So understand, she had 10 times more cash on hand than the median business in that Harvard Business Review survey I was telling you about. 10 times as much cash. And you know what? You could tell when you were talking to her because of her confidence and clarity. And we were kind of debriefing it. And she told me that basically she felt like a baller. She'd never had that much cash on hand. And it was changing not only how she saw herself, but how she was viewing her options in her business. So let's talk about sort of the 3 core results that happened because of that cash reserve. And these are all, I would say, sort of marketing and attraction results, by the way, although they do have larger implications in the business. So the first is having a cash reserve gave her the courage to niche down on only high value clients. So she was gently and kindly with respect, because this is a kind, respectful baller, by the way. She was gently but decisively cutting pain in the butt clients from her company's roster because she no longer, quote unquote, needs to tolerate them. So we live in the real world. And as you know, a lot of entrepreneurs end up taking on clients who are less than ideal because they have to pay themselves and pay their bills. They have to put food on the table. So there's no judgment around that. But she has this cash reserve, and now she literally doesn't need to tolerate them anymore. So she's weeding them out and doubling down on her top tier clients. And those top tier clients generate way more revenue. They help her get way better results, which helps to broaden her reputation as an excellent service provider. And basically, she's generating way fewer headaches. So just the cash reserve alone is beginning to reorient her business to top tier clients. Those top tier clients, game recognizes game, so they know other top tier clients, and then they recommend her business, right? She's eliminating the bottom tier of clients, so she reduces headaches. Can you see how this becomes a total reorientation to a higher level business? And she's doing it because of her cash reserve. All right, so that was sort of result number 1, cutting pain in the butt clients because she no longer needs to tolerate them. Result number 2, she is raising her prices because she no longer, quote unquote, needs to undercharge in order to, quote unquote, get the sale. And again, this is really common in business for you to undercharge because you can't risk losing a sale. And nobody will admit to this, but entrepreneurs do this all the time because we are humans and have to put food on the table. So the result for her, now that she has this cash reserve, she doesn't have to do that anymore. So it means that she is able to charge what she wants to charge. And so she's raising her prices and making sure that they are a much more accurate reflection of her place in the market, her costs, and her desired profit margins. Because remember, she's building a jewel business, 30% growth, 30% profitability, 30% open time. If you are not familiar with what a jewel business is, I strongly encourage you to go back and listen to episode 444, What is a Jewel Business? That will really sort of outline my philosophy to business growth. But anyway, in this case, to continue with my story, she is raising her prices and she's doing it confidently, right? Because she has money in the bank. She doesn't, quote unquote, need to undercharge anymore. So not only can she make even more money with less effort, but she's positioning her brand as preeminent and high value. Honestly, those of you who are positioning yourself as a low value alternative, you're not Walmart. A small business who positions themselves as the low cost alternative is in a race to the bottom. I do not recommend that unless you're Walmart, right? You just don't have the economies of scale to do it. And having a cash reserve really helps you not fake it till you make it, but do it with confidence. All right. And then the third, and one of the most awesome actually to witness results of having a cash reserve is she's just a more confident and relaxed CEO because she no longer, quote unquote, needs to stress out about business. She has followed the process, right? She has diligently put in the work. We've seen her do this over her time with us in the incubator. She's put in the work, not on short-term tactics, but on building an ecosystem. So the company that she has built one brick at a time, patiently, right, generates enough money to A, easily meet its monthly obligations, B, invest in growth by hiring team members and contractors so that she can focus on leading. You have to have money to grow, and her business is creating enough revenue, not just to meet its expenses, but to invest in growth. And third, she is able to month after month send chunks of cash into a business savings account. And in her world, and what I would recommend for you guys too, is once you have 3 to 6 months of cash on hand, don't stop the saving, continue saving, but now you can invest that money. You can use money to make more money. It's this virtuous circle. It's a beautiful thing. A cash reserve is one hell of a marketing weapon. Neediness erodes your brand and repulses sales. It forces you, it blinds you to who your ideal clients actually are. And as the example that I shared earlier, when I didn't have a big cash reserve, I would focus on the technical side of who those ideal clients were, but I didn't get the nuances because I needed the business. And the thing is, I could have, if I'd understood how important a cash reserve was, I totally could have built up one sooner. Okay. This is not about, lessons that you only get to, experience when your business is a certain size. No. Any one of you, if you put your mind to it, could do it. Most of you won't. Most of you won't. And how do I know this? Because look at the research. That's why when you step into a culture, a community and a culture where having a cash reserve is a badge of honor, it changes who you are as an entrepreneur, right? It changes who you are because it changes the metrics of what's important in business. So it's one hell of a marketing weapon. And honestly, it just takes away all neediness. And neediness erodes your brand and repulses sales. Branding people don't talk about this, but it's huge. Not being needy is one of the most important brand assets you could have. Working on your marketing and branding without simultaneously building up your cash reserves is a classic fake it till you make it BS that harms your confidence and integrity as a leader. And if you are telling yourself the lie that you're too early in your business to have a cash reserve, I'm sorry, that's a limiting thought. It's not true. And I think it's so critical for you to be part of a culture, whether it's with me and listening to this podcast or in other places where people really understand the value of building up cash reserves. It's so critical for entrepreneurs. Build your cash reserves, my darlings. My mom was right. Money is power. All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in my company, Safi Media, over the course of the late summer and fall. So first of all, if you're done with gimmicks and tactics and you're ready to build an actual business ecosystem that will take you to 7 figures and beyond, it's time to apply for the incubator. So you want to do that before the price goes up on August 16th. So the incubator is not for everyone. Similar to the whole focus of this podcast episode, we are very clear about who we're for and not for. We work with intelligent, sophisticated female founders who have the basics in place and are ready to scale. So go to incubatormastermind.com to submit your application. Based on your application, if we think that we can help you, we're going to schedule a call with you to talk it through. And really, the purpose of that call is to determine fit. So the price goes up by 20% in September 2021. So to take advantage of our current pricing, we must receive your application by Monday, August 16th. No exceptions. Go to incubatormastermind.com to learn about the program and to submit your application by August 16th. And again, we're very clear on who we're for and not for, and we'll be very straight up for you once you submit your application and talk it through. All right? Okay. So the next thing I wanted to do is just let you know how much I appreciate you as a listener. I so appreciate you sharing bits and pieces of the show on Instagram and LinkedIn, giving us shout outs on Twitter, subscribing to the show, leaving us reviews. We really, truly appreciate it. I've had people tell me that this podcast is like a university course in business, like an MBA. I tend to think of it as an MBG, a Master's of Business Growth, everything that we do. But I truly appreciate you taking the time to do us a solid by leaving us a review, a written review on iTunes. I want to give a shout out to Tina from Burlington, who gave us a 5-star review on iTunes. She says, Eleanor's podcast is high-level conversations that empower you to make impactful decisions. Her practical tips and strategy are simple and mind-blowing. You can work through your own limiting beliefs while listening to her stories. Thank you so much for that review. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. We will see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Ciao for now.